Well, hello, folks. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. We're trying to find a new format for the 11th hour messenger show. As you can see there in the corner, I'm joined by Joshua Daugherty, and it'll be a fully interactive experience, I guarantee you. If you have questions, you can go on my Twitter at unindoctrinate. I'm going to try to enable the chat for this hangout as well, so we can go ahead and have chat right here. And I'm going to press on the chat button. Let's see what happens. It looks like I've got the chat right here on the side. So if you're there, you can ask a question. So tonight we're going to talk about all things conspiracy. And if you do hear a little bit of an echo, I'm sorry, because Josh and I are both in the same room, but we're on separate cameras. So I think we're going to be just fine. But at any rate, we're talking about all things conspiracy tonight. And of course, the name of the show is, can you see the flat Earth, or can you see Planet X from the flat Earth during the Mandela effect if you're in Antarctica? So there's all kinds of conspiracies out there. There's all kinds of stuff going on. And really, if you let it get to you, it could really get to a place where it would keep you awake at night. I don't allow that to happen to me, but nonetheless, there are some very, very interesting things that could go on. And we're going to talk about all those things tonight. Planet X, flat Earth, hollow Earth, Antarctica, Mandela effect. What else, Josh? Polarity of the human species, whatever, electric universe, whatever conspiracy type of question that you have, feel free to go ahead and enter it into the chat room. And you could even say, hey, I'd like to come on and ask a question. And I think we can even let you come on the chat maybe and ask and answer questions. But we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about Planet X. We're going to talk about the flat Earth. We're going to talk about Antarctica and all these other things. And it really is, even though we do it kind of lighthearted, it really is a serious discussion. And I know Josh knows a lot more about a lot of these things than I do, but I think we still can have some good conversation. And I was just thinking before I came over here, Josh, you told me, and our other buddy Jeff has told me, that there's been even geographical changes that have been attributed to the Mandela effect. Is that correct?
Well, according to people's memories. So how you want to phrase, the truth, I'm not sure if it's the truth, but there are people claiming that they've had experiences where the geography has changed, yes.
You're going to make me seasick with your moving your... But the thing that I was wondering about, if the Mandela effect can make changes to the Earth's geography, could it make changes to the Earth's orbit? Could it make changes even to the orbit of Planet X? So instead of Planet X coming in on its usual orbit, I guess every 30,000 or however many thousand years it comes in, what if instead of coming by Earth, it came by Jupiter, if it came by Pluto, or heaven forbid, what would happen if Planet X crashed into Uranus?
I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to get at there.
But what if could the Mandela effect make changes even to the path of Nibiru?
Are we real? I mean, I don't think that we really have even identified what the Mandela effect is, though, to even, go that far.
I was trying to make a cheap joke a little bit, but a little bit of comic relief is always a good thing. But I mean, you've got people like Neil deGrasse Tyson that talks about the fact that the Earth is not even round. It's like he said, because of gravity and the rotation, it'd be fatter in the middle.
Oh, that's so funny.
And it's kind of misshapen, but yet all of the pictures that we get of it are of this perfect round ball. Now, is that because of the the water and the atmosphere that makes it look round, or is that because the pictures are all made up? And I'll say right up front that I'm not a proponent or an adherent of the flat Earth theory. But at the same time, I don't believe we're being told the truth about our cosmology, about our cosmogony, about our planet. So what deGrasse Tyson says, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, makes sense, seems to make sense, but then why is what he's telling us is proven by science and physics and all that high math that I have no idea about? Why is that not the visual evidence that we get from NASA and these other places when they give us pictures, quote unquote, of planet Earth? Why doesn't it look oblong like he describes?
I have no idea, because they are just making it up.
Who's they?
Well, it's got to be NASA and science and TV.
Yeah. Here's the problem I have with it. I can't get high enough to take a look at it myself. And I'm a guy that has to see it for myself. I'm a guy that has to understand it for myself. And I see that we do have viewers that are tuned in to the Hangout. So don't be shy if you have questions, if you have answers, if you have comments. If you're not a troll, feel free to go ahead and enter into the chat box, and we perhaps might even bring you onto the Hangout. We'll probably be here until midnight. This is the 11th hour messenger broadcast with Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower, and Joshua Allen, the folklore guy.
New cosmic knowledge.
New cosmic knowledge. Yeah, you're used to new cosmic knowledge from my website and from our publishing, and we're going to be doing some other things with it. But I forget where I was going with that long rant. But it just, why does it, oh, here's the thing I was thinking about. There's about 600 astronauts so far. There's been like 36 nations that have gone up into space. So you are telling me, you're asking me to believe that every single one of them is a lying rat bastard.
Well, I kind of think that it may be more of a mixture of the truth and of the fantasy. It's really interesting when you start thinking about more classical models of the Earth and the universe, where you have the firmament being water.
That's another thing that bothers me about it.
But it's really interesting because, like, say Egypt, for instance.
Egypt.
They would bury the rulers and the leaders in boats. And now it's going, analyzing what they know of the universe, and to go on a journey to see the gods, they're using boats, because the firmament, like classical people know, is made out of water.
Or the archaeological mind that I have, having college degree in physical and cultural archaeology and not archaeology but geography, is their whole system was evolved around the Nile, so they're used to thinking in systems of boats. So that could be another reason why. The thing that bothers me with the firmament, it's the same thing that bothered me about the Mandela effect when I first started hearing about it. Sooner or later, if they're talking about the Mandela effect, sooner or later, if they're talking about flat Earth, Jesus is coming up. End of days, better get right, going to hell, it's gonna blow up. Somehow the flat Earth always winds up at the feet of the old rugged cross. And that bothers me, because that's just a fairy tale. It's bad doctrine. It's not even thinking. It's checking your mind at the door, and it's going back under the same old mind control matrix we've been under for 2,000 years. It's not enlightenment. It is indoctrination.
It's indoctrination if you don't see what it's saying. if you have these systems, and Planet X isn't any different. Planet X is talking about a celestial body
Right.
coming towards the Earth, and doom and doom and gloom, major catastrophes, and reversing of polarities of the Earth.
How do they know if no one's been around to see that sucker come before?
Well, if you have a a geologist type mind, you can look at the strata of the Earth, and you can see as the Earth cools, you have the ions and the atoms align themselves in direction with magnetic north.
Hold
And
that
you
thought.
have
I'm not trying to be a jerk, but do flat Earth people believe in the stratigraphy, study of the stratigraphy of the Earth?
I'm not sure. I'm sure that there's people on both sides of it, but
Okay.
to me, it's a good evidence whether or not the Earth is round or whatever shape. It doesn't matter, but there is evidence of a magnetic reversal in polarity.
But
Regardless,
Josh, don't you know that was Noah's Ark?
the magnetic
come on.
reversal.
Yeah.
It could have been. It really very well could have been. But this is not.
But Planet X didn't come 6,000 years ago.
No, you're correct. This is something that's happening 500 years, 1,200 years.
Don't they say 30,000 years is the Nibiru orbit?
There's different figures. There's 5,500. There's 3,600.
Okay.
It goes on and on.
But why don't we know?
Maybe there are some people that know.
Yeah.
You have all these people moving their government bases to high locations.
Tell me about that. You mentioned that earlier, and I tried to do a quick Google search, but I didn't find anything about the government moving into the center of the continent.
Okay, where is the CIA?
Is that in Omaha?
Langley?
Langley, Virginia.
But
that'll be underwater, right?
So who is now in Denver? Who is it that's there? That huge facility they made.
Do you
Where is
expect?
Denver? Smack dab in the middle of the high zone.
Would you expect the capital to be moved from Washington D.C.?
If they project Washington D.C. to be underwater, of course I imagine it would be moved. That would be absurd for it not to be.
But they'd never move it until it was actually happening, right? Because that would tip the hand.
I would imagine if they knew, they would move it before anybody else knew, before anybody knew what was happening, before they launched anything. That's just, they've had, how long has that project been going on?
But here's an interesting thought. Donald Trump has just been elected president of the United States. And Donald Trump has already publicly stated that his wife and his child will not be moving into the White House. And there's a lot of speculation that Donald Trump won't be a full-time resident of the White House. Now, is that just because he likes Trump Tower, likes to sleep in his own bed, or is it because, like you've identified, they're wondering about some big events that are coming? Maybe it's the beginning of the move away from Washington, D.C. as the center of political power in the United States of America.
I think it's a really interesting idea because you can very clearly see a pattern of preparation, a pattern of entrenchment, and you see them talking about climate change and upheavals. And we see the weather changing. We had the hottest year on record. I mean, there is evidence of something changing. And if we're talking about a Planet X as a celestial body coming towards Earth, if we're thinking classically again, these celestial bodies become entities and personalities. So
well, you have an interesting point on that as well.
Personality coming closer to the Earth, and you have the Earth changing polarities. And if we get away from our classic understanding of that we've been taught in our schools, and think more in terms of energy, you have something approaching, changing our polarity as a whole cosmic entity, as man, as the Earth, everything shifting to this alternate.
Do we have empirical proof of any of this changes that you're talking about?
If you get out of the notion of the spiritual world being different than the world you live in, then I say you do. I mean, you have clear evidence of magnetic polar shifts here on this Earth.
Can you help me with some of that? Because I haven't seen it. I haven't been looking for it, admittedly. And I know there's people out there saying the same thing that I am.
It's simple. You take the Marianas Trench.
Mm-hmm. The deepest part of the ocean, the deepest, lowest place on planet Earth.
You have the trench. It's in the very middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's the Earth separating there at that point.
It's getting deeper?
No, it's coming. Those two plates are moving away from each other. So new Earth is being created endlessly there, over and over and over. As the lava comes up and cools, the structure of the bonds of the rocks, the carbon molecules, align themselves to magnetic north as they cool. And the Earth will striate. That's a hard word for me to say.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but as those new bands of Earth come out and cool, they align with magnetic north.
Is there a magnetic north on the flat Earth?
That's interesting because, you know, at that point you have to discuss what becomes a north and a south in that sort of a system. And when you have flat Earth, you have differing beliefs on flat Earth and what it could be. You mean, what if flat Earth is an energetic Earth, and then it would be more likely to be something more like Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about, where it being more of a torrid field. So you can have a flat Earth at the same time having a round Earth if it's electrical.
Well, it's round, but it's not a ball.
Right. It would be flat in perspective because, you know, being energy, it's a fourth dimensional creation.
But then again, we have, you know, 600 lying rat bastard astronauts again, and 600 people in government keep it secret.
What if it's not like that, though? What if our eyes aren't deceiving us? What if we just don't know what we're looking at?
Now there's an interesting theory. So
What
it's a
if these guys are
Mandela
going
effect.
up into space in these spaceships, but once they hit this barrier, it becomes space and it becomes a void. It's the firmament, it's water, and they're going into this other world that's an ocean world with these crazy celestial beings, which are these planets. You know, this could be real. It sounds wild.
So they're still lying to us in that scenario.
They're not lying to us. They're giving our simpler minds a fixed notion of something that's beyond our ability to grasp.
Yeah, I have a real problem with them having higher minds than us. I know you do too, and that's what the whole quote-unquote truth movement about is, us knowing the truth. I thought you were going with the fact that perhaps when they get up into their ships and they get up to a certain place, that there's some type of a spiritual effect or a Mandela effect, if you would, that causes them to see a round Earth.
Yeah.
Because they all uniformly. I have a hard time believing that. I mean, I was in the Air Force for 6 years. I knew a lot of pilots, and I had a top secret security clearance. And it's hard for me to believe that 700 people with the highest top secret clearances, officers in the United States services, many of them honorable people, I have a hard time believing that 600 of them would tell the same lie. It's much easier for me to believe that maybe they're being under some mind control.
What if it's not mind control, and what if it's not a lie, and what if it's the truth, and what if it's just not what we think it is? You know, if you're looking at it and you're being told the orange is an orange, and the whole time the orange is a banana, but you don't know. You know, it could be, you know, it could be flat Earth, it could be the firmament, it could be space, it could be the cosmos. But when you all get down to it, it's all the same thing.
I actually had a friend that obviously had a very twisted dad. From the time he grew up, he grew up with his dad. His dad told him that a fork was a pencil and a pencil was a fork. So this guy goes to school calling pencils fork pencils, and to this day, he'll still slip and call a fork a pencil, a pencil a fork. If you thought I was a bad parent,
get the fork out of here.
Get the fork out of here. But yeah, but still, my point is, their visual faculties are telling them they're looking at a blue marble when they're up in space, and they come back and say, yeah, that's what it looks like. And if it's not what it looks like, then they're either lying or they're being deceived.
Well, what if that is what it looks like?
Okay. So maybe it is a spiritual or some type of a psychological or an energetic.
If you talk in energy and you move into a higher energy field, then you would be essentially moving into the fourth dimension, and something that would be flat to us into the fourth dimension would have a shape that would be circular in nature.
Wow.
Because,
you're listening to the 11th Hour Messenger broadcast. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. I'm joined by Joshua Daugherty of Folklore and JeffreyDaugherty.com, ChristianWhistleBlower.com, NewCosmicKnowledge.com are the places that you can find us. At Unindoctrinate on Twitter to find me, and also Jeffrey Daugherty Show, and on YouTube, Jeffrey Daugherty.
At your mama's house for all the haters?
I am not at my mama's house. But at any rate, I won't say anything about that. We'll just move right on. But yeah, the whole flat earth thing, two things about it bother me. One is it always runs home to Jesus. And secondly, there's very little room. This is very unusual. There's very little room for discussion. If you don't believe in the flat earth, then you're stupid and you don't know anything about anything. And you can't know anything about truth if you don't believe in the flat earth. I'm sorry, but for 20 years, I preached the same thing, only with the Bible. So when I see that dogmatic, we know everything, I call, you know what, BS.
The flat earth is in the Bible, though.
Exactly. The flat earth is in the Bible.
The flat earth, that's what...
Yeah, but what about the Norse Bible? What about the Egyptian Bible? What about the Indian Bible?
You should read those. Those are very interesting.
But they're not flat earth.
Are you sure?
I'm positive they're not.
They're not flat earth either, though.
Which is exactly what I was saying before. If you recall, I'm not a flat earth guy. But I don't think we're being told the whole story about our astronomy, cosmology, cosmogony, whatever the word is.
If you don't know what you're looking for, you will never find it.
And the problem with flat earth to me is that I don't care how powerfully you argue. I don't care how many miles away you go and show that it's flat. I don't care until I can get high enough myself to look down and say, that bitch is flat or it's round as hell. It'll never be settled in my mind.
Why? Here's something that I think is hysterical.
And I've flown over the poles.
Here's something that I think is the most fascinating thing of our time is people are questioning the knowledge that we take for granted as empirical truth. Is the world flat or is it round? Is that so absurd that we can't find that out for certain? All we can do is say you're an idiot or you're an idiot. Like,
exactly.
Why can't we all just fucking go to Antarctica and see
earmuffs? No F-bombs. Call earmuffs before you do that, please.
Why can't we go to Antarctica and just check it out? What's there? Is the Earth flat or is the Earth not flat?
You can go if you don't mind being ventilated by lead. They won't let you go. You're not allowed to go, which is a very, very interesting point.
Don't come get me. I know you got killers, Kanye.
It is very, very interesting, and that's one of the things that just makes you think. I shaved off my goatee, but it's coming back, so I'm still like,
Maybe we need to get 2020 vision Kanye West for president, and maybe he'll get that handled.
Yeah.
2020 vision Kanye for president.
I'm voting for Kanye.
Hey, he said he's going 4 years.
Wow.
He's inspired by his Trumponomics.
So Melania Trump is just getting us ready for Kim Kardashian.
Hey.
Oh my. So the flat earth, I don't like that it goes back to Jesus. I don't like that it goes. It's so there's so little room for discussion. I mean, even our buddy that was going to be on this show was like, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
And I look at these flat Earth guys, and they make the statement regularly: if you don't believe in the flat Earth, you're stupid. You can't know any other truth.
I think that flat Earth is the new avant-garde. Flat Earth is the pinnacle of the new human renaissance, and those guys are at the top foremost of the truth game. They're there, they're on top, and they have been telling you for 20 years the Earth is flat, and you can't just jump on that shit because you heard it on YouTube.
Let me break a little piece of truth off for you. I am doing a study of ISIS Unveiled on my website and on my YouTube. And I got in and was talking to people about the introduction of ISIS Unveiled, which was published in 1886, I believe. Published in 1886. And in the introduction, Helena Blavatsky, who is the author, known as Madame Blavatsky, she talks about in there the debate between people of Newtonian and Galilean cosmology, heliocentric, and the fight of people about a flat Earth. So even back in 1886, sorry, Eric Dubé, but they were talking about that stuff way back then.
Aristotle, what up?
So there's been a lot of thought about it. I mean, it is compelling. The visual evidence is compelling. The sun rays are compelling. The fact that you can look across great distances, and if you just focus in, it's compelling. But I also know, I have literally flown over the polar ice caps in a C-130 aircraft when I was in the Air Force. And I know from shooting, you have to account for what we think is the parabolic nature. Maybe it's just gravity. But we're not being told the whole truth about the Earth. We're just not. It's Jeffrey Daugherty and Joshua Daugherty. This is the 11th hour messenger broadcast. We're doing this at the 11th hour on the East Coast.
During the 11th hour awakening.
During the 11th hour awakening. There's 11s all over this hizzow. 11. And you, if you're watching this, you have access to the chat. Don't be shy. Ask a question. If you want, we maybe even consider bringing you into the visual realm of the broadcast. So we've talked flat Earth pretty well, but the thing that I wanted to ask is, and with all seriousness, not just trying to pick a fight, can you believe in Planet X and the flat Earth?
There are lots of interesting elements of Planet X, and we haven't even got into it yet.
And isn't Planet X also called Marduk?
Is it? It could be.
I believe it's sometimes referred to as Marduk.
Yeah. And is it the blue Kachina star?
And who is Marduk?
Who is Marduk?
Marduk is the Lord, Yahweh, Jehovah, Yaldabaoth, the demiurge. So maybe it's just talking about, from biblical scriptures and from Sumerian scriptures, we know that Yaldabaoth, the Lord Marduk, has tried to destroy the earth at least twice, once almost successfully. We know that he's going to try to do it again. Is the whole Planet X nothing more than a metaphor for the Lord, Yahweh, Marduk, Yaldabaoth, and his repeated attempts to destroy planet Earth?
Marduk is a really interesting figure. It's pre-Islamic, and
Marduk is way back in Sumeria.
It's the peacock god. And
there's a religion about that. What is that?
I'm trying to recall the name of it.
They've got that one guy that I like too in there. It's Tzatziki or Tzadikism, or something like that.
Yes, something just like that. What's really cool about that religion is it's very strikingly similar in style, artistically, to Aztecs and to some of the ancient, Oriental cultures with the dragons. And that's a really interesting tie-in to Planet X because in Planet X,
I think artifacts are Oriental and people are Asian. We want to be inclusive.
Yes, I'm not sure. All I know is there's some interesting temples and art coming out of Asia.
Because I remember years ago, you and I having a talk about that God, and I thought, this is a Yeshua type figure. And you're like, no, no, no. And then.
Yeah, it's a Yeshua type figure that is named all of our evil Lucifer God that we know in our current cosmology. He has all of the names and visual attributes of that evil character today, but in this religion, he was the savior of mankind.
And he's a peacock.
As being in the way of saying that I will not be controlled by a demiurge.
It makes me think of beautiful, wonderful counselor, Prince of Peace, shining with brightness. Colors of. I mean, look at the descriptions in the Book of Revelation of all of the colors of the New Jerusalem. All of the emerald type colors. You would say it was all the colors of the peacock.
All of the colors of the rainbow.
All the colors of the rainbow as well.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Very, very.
So you have this alien being or this energy coming towards Earth.
We're back on Marduk now.
We're back on Marduk. We're back on Planet X mythology. You have
Planet X,
the Anunnaki,
Nibiru, Marduk, and then I think the Sumerian word was Tianamut or something like that.
Talmud, I believe, with it. L. Maybe I'm incorrect.
I think it's Tianam, but anyway, that's what we're talking about.
Those are those root gods that we find are archangels.
And you know what's interesting? Do you remember the movie Constantine?
Yeah, very well.
What a great flick! When the Satan character is coming down, and the angelic Gabriel character, played by that wonderful actress who was also in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, she's saying, "Son of perdition, Belial, Satan," taking off names just like you did for Marduk. And of course he says, "I love the old names." And I think you have unintentionally drawn a parallel to maybe, and wow, maybe it is Marduk.
What's really interesting,
maybe it is the son of perdition.
What is so interesting to me is if you run that line of thought, then all of these different cosmologies kind of come into one, where you have, again, like you said, you're drawn to that Jesus Christ consciousness coming in the form of this Marduk coming to Earth and changing the polarity.
No, I was thinking of the other way, that it's bad consciousness, Marduk, Yalta-Baoth.
And so was I, Kimosabe.
Oh, because you're on plastic Jesus.
I'm talking about the Christ consciousness, Illuminati, new wave of all these young people.
We're talking about plastic Jesus now.
These young people, it's just like the 60s. They're there, they're ready to move, they're spiritual, they have the ability to move past mind, and they're getting warped into the monarch and this whole system of the Enlightenment that is coming from Hollywood.
Interesting. Aren't we also seeing somewhat of a correlation to the free sex ways of the 60s as well?
Well, sex is a huge, powerful energy, but
exactly.
If you can take the meaning out from behind that, then you just have sex as a physical act for your body.
I was just drawing a correlation between the 60s and now. You're talking about enlightenment, awakening.
About twisting the truths. They're taking things that are supposed to be powerful. You're supposed to be having spiritual people, meeting each other and creating spiritual communion.
One of these days I'm going to do that.
One of these days you may find a spiritual communion, and maybe that's something that a lot more people need to do, living their lives in a sacred manner and using remembrance in their lives.
Can you imagine the power, the creative power? I mean, you got guys like, Aleister Crowley and a lot of the Thelemics, and even I think people in other spiritual practices using and leveraging sexual power through magic. But what if you're really doing it for holy, if you will, purposes, rather than as a vessel for your intention and to get things done? And I just finished a book about spirit cooking the Eucharist and the communion. And wow, it's all tied up in that. And if we could ever get to the place where we are having sacred sex, wow, who knows what positive effects could be unleashed upon the entire world should that ever take place. And maybe that's why there's such an effort in media, music, all of popular culture towards the lustful face, boats and hoes.
Yeah, where are the ladies at?
Where the ladies? I saw something that I posted on Facebook the other day, made me laugh out loud. Some little guy from India, he's got watches all the way up his arm. He says, "All these watches, and I still ain't got time enough for all these hoes."
True that.
Like, that was one of the funniest things that I've ever seen in my life. You're listening to the 11th Hour Messenger broadcast. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. I'm joined by Joshua Daugherty of Folklore. And we're also launching a new venture of New Cosmic Knowledge and expansion on what you already know from me as New Cosmic Knowledge. And tonight we've been talking about, can you see Planet X from the flat Earth during the Mandela effect while in Antarctica? And some other stuff. But we've talked a lot about Planet X. And I found it very interesting in the last, it was the last Star Trek movie, wasn't it? Where they had the planet. No, it was the one before the last one. They had the opening scene was on the planet called Nibiru. So Nibiru's obviously penetrated popular culture. And are they dropping an Easter egg, or are they just poking fun? But at any rate,
I think it's really interesting because what we can see is that some energy or force is approaching where we are.
Can we see that?
We can see that they want us to think that, at the very least, and we can physically see changes happening to our Earth.
Or can we see that there's some people that want to believe that there's something coming? I mean, I see the videos on YouTube of two suns. I hear your stories of hearing about a planet entering the solar system, and there's talk about a dark star or something from NASA, but it's still very, very sketchy.
Can we ever know anything?
We can't even know if this freaking Earth is flat around.
We just got to go experience life, and we got to go to Antarctica. We got to see what's up. We got to be involved in our government. We got to stop just believing everything they tell us to do and working the hours they tell us to work and doing what they tell us to do. And we need to just do our own thing, and we need to speak our own truths, and you need to become, the creator yourself and do what you were put here to do, which is to take care of the earth and to take care of yourself and to improve the nations of all of your brothers.
I love to hear you saying things like, you should do, I think you should. I like to hear that, because what I hate, and I do hate it, is this new age ludicrosity of, oh, you should never tell someone what they should do, and you should never say should, and you should never say must. BS. There are things you should do. There are things you must do. And if that bothers your new age sensibilities, it's because you're not in the new age, you're in a new cage.
I like that a lot. And I do feel caged.
Well, we are caged.
Yeah, I am caged in the four corners of the flat earth under the firmament dome. I'm caged by the cosmologies that I learned growing up in school, I went to school. There was a globe. I studied the globe. I loved the globe. I had maps in my room.
Mm-hmm.
I studied maps. I took geography in college. You know, like these are things that I have filled my mind with and used those ideas to shape my perspective of the universe. And it could all not even be real. So what am I
Brother,
left
it's
with?
a trap.
It's a trap.
School is a trap. College is a trap. Jobs are a trap.
So
It's
how
a
do you get out of the
trap to
trap?
keep you from taking hold of your real basic purpose.
You're listening to the 11th hour messenger. The 11th hour is not what you had thought it was. It's not what you were taught it was. And it's happening right now. The apocalypse is upon us. Jeff, you are an expert in language and in the Bible and your research. I'm sure this is an easy one for you. I'm sure. Do you know what the word apocalypse means?
Well, I'm an expert in biblical language. I don't know about the rest of language, but the word apocalypse, and you're so right. I love what you said, because we are ticking down. It's the 11th hour, but it's not ticking down to, if you would think from what we're told and what we're sold, and even George Norrie said this to me last time I was on Coast to Coast. He said, Jeff, the word apocalypse is very scary to me. And everybody that's listening to us, and I see a lot of you out there, don't be shy to ask a question. It's very scary to us because we've been sold fear, we've been told fear, and that word apocalypse does have a scary connotation. But if you look in the New Testament, the literal meaning of the word apocalypse is an unveiling of spiritual truth from the Elohim themselves. That's the Greek.
Correct.
An apocalypse is an unveiling of truth, a removal of clouds from truth that has been hidden, an act taken by the very Elohim themselves. And Daniel wrote that the Mandela effect, he predicted something that looks very much like the Mandela effect that was going to be perpetrated to stop and prevent an apocalypse and unveiling. This is some pretty interesting stuff right here, folks. You're not going to hear this many places.
Is that the great delusion that may fool even the elect at the end of time?
Is what?
The Mandela effect. Do you think that that is triggering that world where people who have become awakened or are becoming awakened by the Mandela effect saw the ripple of the illusion happen, and it triggered them to know that something's up? And you have all of these people online, you know, every couple minutes a new video, you know, about the Mandela effect. Proof of the Mandela effect. Chick-fil-A is a 33. We're dropping 33s on everything.
I'm starting to see people say my wife is not the same person she was. My husband's not the same person they were.
My house is not in the same place it used to be.
There's a hotel in Southern California that appears and disappears, apparently.
Yeah, so it's a interesting time in the world, and I think that at the very least it marks a moment when people started to question their reality, which in the very definition is the apocalypse.
You know, someone said to me, I was on a radio show somewhere, and I can't remember where it was, where they asked me, are these things that we're noticing in the Mandela effect, these things that we can see, you know, the Darth Vaders and the Forrest Gumps and the, you know, Field of Dreams and all this, are they glitches in the Matrix, like when Neo said, whoa, saw the cat twice.
Whoa.
Whoa. Whoa.
Whoa.
Deja vu.
Whoa.
Are those glitches in the Matrix? Are they, and maybe this was a caller on Coast that said this, is the Mandela effect a result of there's been so many people traveling in time now that they've messed up, to use a Star Trek term, the time-space continuum. They created these ripples, and these ripples are creating these tears, these fluxes within the time-space continuum where, I mean, if you consider them like a sine wave, they could interlap, and all of a sudden, not only is Darth Vader not saying, Luke, I am your father, he's saying, no, I am your father, but your house is not in the same place. Your mom's not the same mom. Your daddy ain't the same daddy. Kanye might be a plumber somewhere.
Or he might be president.
Or he might be president.
I said it first, 2020 vision. If you want a clear vision for America,
dude,
Kanye's got the vision. Politics? Kanye's got the vision.
Well, I guess, anyway. So is the Mandela effect the result of people traveling through time so much that they're messing things up?
Are they traveling in time to stall the arrival of Marduk? Who is Marduk? Tune in next time on the 11th Hour Messenger. No, we're not going anywhere. Just
whoa. Marduk. You know, some people have said there's a lot of videos out there and a lot of speculation out there that Donald J. Trump himself might be a time traveler. They say that he might even be John Teeter.
He's traveling to the future and get a different haircut, huh?
Yeah. You think it's like Benny Hinn. You know, Benny Hinn can cause all these great miracles to happen, but for some reason, God won't cause hair to grow on the top of his head.
Hey, you got to get your energy from some point. It's coming in right there on that spot in his dome piece.
I guess. I mean, at least Trump's still got some hair.
Dome piece. What's that about? That's the part of your head that faces the firmament? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Wow. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, we've got about 10 more minutes to ask if you can see Planet X from the flat Earth during the Mandela effect in Antarctica during a supermoon. Supermoon's coming up too.
Yeah.
JeffreyDaugherty.com, there's a story there that somebody says that all hell's going to break loose because of the supermoon. And did you see this poor, pitiful idiot? Something that I might have done, but even I wasn't this bad. This poor, pitiful, stupid, idiotic pastor in Amarillo, Texas, goes to the mall. Kids lined up to see Santa, and he's out there filming himself preaching to the kids. There's no Santa. It's a lie. You need to get saved in the name of Jesus.
11th Hour Messenger, waking people up to the apocalypse.
How in the hell?
There is no Santa.
How did he not get his ass beat?
Because the kids are really little. If the kids were a little bit bigger, they probably could have taken it.
Actually, you know that Seinfeld episode, all those little guys in the dojo ganged up on Kramer.
On Cosmo.
That's what they should have done. On Cosmo.
Yeah.
Cosmo. Kramer. But finally, a couple of dads did run him off.
Yeah, that's good.
But I mean, I used to be that guy. Not quite that bad. I don't know. If I'd have thought of that, I might have done it.
That's a good one.
What an idiot.
Did he have signs?
No, he just there was a line literally of like 50 kids, and he's out there in the middle of the mall yelling, kids, I want you to know I'm Pastor whoever. There is no Santa. This season is about Jesus coming into your little heart. They're lying to you. Your parents are lying. This is just a man in a red suit.
Sounds a lot like Kanye West. Did you hear about his rant?
Dude, how's Kanye getting so much airtime?
Kanye is the master of airtime.
I guess so. But at any rate, the thing I'm thinking of, the thing that I would tend to lean more towards than a flat Earth is the idea of something in Antarctica leading to a hollow Earth.
Oh, man.
Or a middle Earth.
I've got a theory for you. I have just the thing. Just what the doctor ordered. And
that makes more sense of why they don't want us to go to Antarctica.
There is a doctor, and his name is Mandela. And he may have concocted the greatest scheme on the face of the earth.
What did Joseph Mengele concoct?
I propose that they did indeed succeed in creating the super race, and I believe that they have built a base in Antarctica, and I believe that they have UFO technology.
They have what technology?
UFO technology, and they have made themselves superhuman, and they are going to invade the world as the famed Nordic extraterrestrials.
Are they the ice giants that Thor talked about?
I don't know.
That Odin talked
I'm
about?
talking about the Nazis, bro.
I know.
In Antarctica, they're just gonna be.
But I mean, if Nordic theology would predict such a thing, wouldn't they very likely cast them as ice giants?
This is unrelated to Nordic mythology. These are Nordic-looking extraterrestrials.
But I'm just trying to
in the hollow earth.
I'm just trying to expand your mind a little bit, brother. Get you to consider a few other options.
Check out the Real Society, bro.
Oh, I'm with you on that. I have been.
What do you think about that? What would
you're talking to it. You don't remember this, but you have walked the halls that Mengele and Goebbels and Hitler walked. You have sat at tables they sat at. You have looked through glass they've looked at. You have breathed the air that they breathed out.
When we were
there in Berchtesgaden. That was. You remember walking down that hall and those alcoves right there?
Must have blocked that horrible memory.
You were there 3 times. That was where the SS would come and have their drinks. And you've been there. You remember Herman Kuhn and Jeff Smith? I shouldn't have said their names out loud, but there's a million of them. We heard the voice of Hitler calling his dog. We saw apparitions of SS figures and hooded figures up in the stage area of the room where they spoke. Remember, with the great big windows looking out on the Wachtman Mountain? You don't remember any of that? Of course, you were just barely walking, so I guess that does explain it. No, you were running around, but you were, what is that, 5, 4, 3? But you've been there, bro, so you may be tuning in to a little something. We saw apparitions of people that would have had to have been Brill doing their rituals.
How silly would that be, though, if that was the case? That's so ridiculous.
That is just the Aryans in the Middle Earth.
The arrogance of the Aryans in the Middle Earth coming back to take over and
so there's
create the Third Reich.
No blacks, no Asians, no Asian Americans. But
they'd probably give you the super pill.
But the master race was white folks, bro.
They have the magic now. They know how to make them.
Because you have a lot of Native American legends about people coming from the earth.
Yeah, you have the ant people.
The ant people. Yeah. And there's an A again. Ant.
Anunnaki.
Aryan. Anunnaki.
Marduk. Planet X. It all ties back in. And the flat Earth and the caves all tie into.
What if Planet X coming into our solar system is enough to change the Earth's temperature just enough to melt the ice cap that's plugging and preventing them from coming out,
Thor did conquer the ice giants and seal up their entrance to Middle Earth.
Yeah. And what if the return of Planet X is going to allow that to be shaken free? And here come the giants. We need to get Scotty Roberts on here to talk about gigantes.
Yeah. Is that similar to Australopithecus?
No, that's just giants in Espanol. Okay. We're just trying to be a little inclusive of our Spanish-speaking listeners. One word, gigantes.
Gigantes.
There you go. Well, we're just about out of time. We got about 5 minutes left. I want you to know that I do have a sale on all of my ebooks now through Christmas. They're all just $2.50. Some of them have been as much as $12 on a regular price. So you can get all of the ebooks for $2.50, except for that brand new one about Eat the Pain, Spirit Cooking, the Eucharist, and Communion. That one's $5, but
Tell
all
us
the
a
rest
little
of
bit
them.
about that book. That's your brand new one you just finished yesterday?
No, I literally just finished it about 2 hours ago.
Oh, wow. This is breaking news.
This is breaking
Hold on.
news.
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
But it's called Eat the Pain, Spirit Cooking, the Eucharist, and the Communion. And it explores, I mean, ripped from the headlines, it explores the connection between spirit cooking, the Eucharist, which is the Catholic Mass, Protestant communion, and their unmistakable ties to blood magic, sex magic, pedophilia, and perhaps even child sacrifice.
That sounds like a heavy novella.
And is it possible, in some staggering similarities between Marina Abramovic, who is the spirit cooking lady, and one Countess Elizabeth Bathory? Do you know that Marina Abramovic is 70 years old?
That's amazing.
She looks 40.
It's true.
How does she keep such a youthful appearance? Did she get some notes from Countess Bathory, who was born less than 100 miles away from where she was?
We may never know.
Well,
hopefully, we will never know.
That book explores that. So, interesting stuff. And head over to jeffreydaugherty.com, christianwhistleblower.com. Check out the teaching series about the Apostle Paul, about the original teachings of Yeshua in chronological order, about the Diamond New Testament, about the secret teachings of all ages, about ISIS Unveiled, about the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Lots of stuff going on. NewCosmicKnowledge.com.
Yeah, if you like what you've heard, you are feeling the feelings of waking up, you're looking for more, we have something really awesome that we're introducing. If you also like coffee, this is obviously the perfect thing for you. It's a coffee club. Every month you will get coffee delivered right to your doorstep. That's fresh roasted, specialty single origin coffee. This month we have a Brazilian peanut butter cup espresso. And then we also have a variety of roasters' choices.
I don't know why I'm not drinking some of that right now.
Yep, we got
I don't know why.
Hawaiian Maui mocha. We have a Guatemala Antigua. We have a really exciting coffee bean from China. These are all coffee that will be selected by the roaster, sent to your doorstep. Included in that also will be something we're really excited about. The Mystery School. We're going to be developing that curriculum, releasing it monthly with the Coffee Club. So you'll be able to gain access to that information to expand your spiritual path and help you during the awakening.
Excellent. We're going to try to step this up. We're going to try to step this up next week. It looks like this is going to be very successful. We've got a lot of listeners. I hope that some of you will quit being shy next week and chime in with your 2 cents, maybe even 3.
Do we have a topic for next week?
No, we don't. But until next week.
It'll be very exciting and entertaining.
Until next week, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower.
I'm Joshua, New Cosmic Knowledge, and by Joshua Allen.
And this has been the 11th Hour Messenger. We'll see you next time. And until then, folks, for heaven's sake, unindoctrinate yourself.